Hi everyone, this is my persuasive speech for speech 13197. I have two audience members. My mom, say hi mom.
Hello.
And my nephew Jordan, say hi Jordan.
Hi.
Okay, so here's my speech. My speech was on raising the federal minimum wage. So the U.S. is $22 trillion in debt. Living here in America, we are all affected by this huge burden. I've been reading numerous articles for the past month, and anything that has been said negative about raising the federal minimum wage has been debunked by numerous researchers and economists. It's morally right to raise the minimum wage so Americans can live in the conditions they deserve. In this speech, I'll inform you on the benefits of raising the national debt and, most importantly, how it will help our economy. Minimum wage workers struggle to provide for themselves and their families, and the economy also suffers. Raising minimum wage will put these families in a better position to provide, and the country as a whole benefit due to the citizens spending more money due to the raising of the minimum wage. When you make more, you spend more, which in return would greatly benefit the economy. Studies also show a gradual increase in minimum wage would not raise the unemployment rate. Today in 2019, full-time workers making minimum wage pocket $15,000 annually, which is well below the $23,850 poverty line. 11.8% of Americans are living in poverty. That's 38.1 million. According to Career Builder, 3 out of 4 Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, which is 60 to 75% of us. The United Way Alice Project has calculated that 43% of U.S. households can't afford a monthly budget that includes food, childcare, healthcare, transportation, and cell phone. The Federal Reserve states that 42% of Americans are experiencing material hardship. Nearly half of renters pay 30% of more of their income to their landlords. The average American household would have to spend 10% of their income to send a 4-year-old to preschool. And also, retirement would be extremely difficult. Numerous sources report that half of Americans have little or nothing saved for retirement. Go Ranking Rates survey states that 42% of Americans will retire with less than 3 months of retirement expenses. The U.S. national debt is an all-time high at a whopping $22 million, like I stated earlier. And due to this debt, U.S. Americans have to face rising interest rates. Because our national debt is so high, we see little economic growth, which means fewer jobs are created, hence a weak job market. Americans have to pay higher taxes due to this national debt being so high. The government doesn't make enough revenue to pay off the debt, which means higher taxes. Now, here are numerous benefits for raising the minimum wage. According to the Economic Policy Institute, raising the minimum wage would lift approximately 4.5 million people out of poverty. Over the phase and the increase, affected workers would make $2,300 more each year than they do today. All low-wage workers would benefit from the minimum wage increase, not just teenagers and restaurant workers. 1/6 of educators and 1/4 of healthcare workers would get a raise as well. Raising the minimum wage gradually would not hurt the unemployment rate. It would create about 100,000 new jobs. Previous IRLE research found that 6 major counties in the U.S. cities, Oakland, Chicago, and San Francisco among them, didn't experience significant job loss after they raised their minimum wage. Anna Godoy and Michael Reach, they're economists at the University of California, T. Berkeley's Institute for Research in Labor and Employment, studied 51 minimum wage increases in 45 states and found no job loss, but in return found that those counties in those 45 states have reduced rates of childhood and household poverty. Raising the minimum wage would greatly benefit the economy. Consumer spending drives 70% of the economy. When raising the minimum wage for low-wage workers, you thereby increase their spending power. Economists recognize that low-wage workers are more likely to spend extra earnings immediately on previous unattainable basic needs or services. A rise in consumer spending would create more jobs since one of the biggest reasons for holding back new hiring was so little demand. Taxpayer costs would not increase. Obviously, there's numerous benefits from raising minimum wage. But what if minimum wage never got increased? Let's take a look at what would happen. Let's imagine the positive benefits of raising the minimum wage first, though. Imagine a world where U.S. debt was abolished and you didn't see homeless people or women and kids in shelters. Or imagine a world where citizens wouldn't need food stamps or welfare benefits to feed their families. Imagine how happy it would make citizens to not see homeless dogs and veterans on the streets. If we get the economy in better shape, the first step would be to raise the minimum wage. This could be a reality for us. Now let's look at the negative impact not raising the minimum wage would have on the U.S. The cost of living would go up and minimum wage would stay the same. Imagine seeing a family of 4 on the streets because they couldn't afford their mortgage. Imagine seeing homeless people in every corner that you turn or getting knocks on your door in the wee hours of the morning from a family asking for food. Imagine your daughter or grandpa on the streets because they couldn't afford to save for retirement. This is all very likely the next 10 to 15 years. And it's time for a change, and only we can make this possible. It desperately needs to be increased. The minimum wage bill was extremely close to getting accepted, but unfortunately it was thrown out in August of this year. The problem won't go away without public interference. People need to come together again to get this bill reintroduced. We could write our senators and representatives and tell them why this is needed and how the bill being thrown out was an absolute mistake. Write the Senate and try again. We should not give up just because we were told no once. Even if the problem doesn't affect you, it's still morally right to help others that are living in poverty. If you have a laptop or computer, don't let it go to waste. Let's try to keep getting this bill introduced so we can help our fellow Americans in the economy. It's obvious there's numerous benefits to increasing the minimum wage. Better economy and better conditions for our people sounds good to me. What about to you? Thank you.